Hey, hello. Oh, Dogface is here. Hi, Simon and Bushlight. I don't know who that is, but um, sorry, but it's past my bedtime. Oh, sorry, but I hear that, Bushlight. Yeah, we start at 10 Eastern. Here, you can see it in replay. It's okay. You can see it tomorrow. Um, anyway, oh, our guest is having trouble getting in. Okay, we'll close everything. Okay, we're having some trouble getting the guest in here. Oh boy, it's going to be one of those Mercury retrograde things, isn't it? Hi, I am D Swiger, D Ocean Swiger, D Ocean Swiger, and I am having a guest on, hopefully, if she can brave all of the things that are going on technically that we're trying to get through to get her on to talk, but she's a listener, a viewer, and doesn't want me to give her name out. She's actually been harassed and bullied by people, which is really sad. And what do I always say? Please be kind to the experiencers. They have a heck of a time sometimes. Okay. It's not that easy to come forward with your truth. I'm just used to it now. I had to I had David pushing me, but uh, he kept saying, just do it, just get it over with. Set aside your worries. Sadly, though, people do get harassed who come forward. We don't put up with any of that here. If you come in here and somebody starts bullying you, we'll take some action. They'll get booted, and then we'll start finding out why they think they can get by with that. Okay. Looks like she made it in. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay. I'm going to do the intro, and then we're going to bring her in. And I'll do some call outs. Okay. As soon as I get back. So, this is D Ocean Swagger. This is D Ocean's Deep Woo. We do the deepest of woo. We are mostly experiencers here. So, be nice to the experiencers. They have a hard enough time as it is coming forward. And let's hope that that changes in the future. We're going to have a viewer experience tonight. So hang on a minute. We'll get the intro rolling. And I'll be right back. We should have her in here. Now remember, this is just tips, tricks, and hacks for playing that massively multiplayer online. No, on Dimension. Massively multiplayer learning game matrix, and it's also total immersion and holofractal and all of that, right? Virtual reality. Yeah, we're all in there, all in there. So she's got our experience. Oh, and by the way, this has nothing to do with real life, which takes place outside the matrix. I'm having some problems with the I'm having some problems getting her in here with the stream. Seems like she keeps dropping out. Let's hope we do get her in here because it'd be a shame if we don't hear her. Doggone. Hey, Gemini. Okay, so let's do a shout out while she tries again. Okay, so we have Dogface Simon, Bear Custasian, Richard Elmore, Gemini Moon, and that's it for the moment. And let's see what's happening with her. Try again. Oh. Some people have older phones, you know how this is. It's just one of the things of trying to take care of a string. Let's hope she can make it in. Otherwise, I got an hour to fill on my own. And I don't want to do that. So everybody cross your fingers, will you please? Moody technology, yeah. It's really moody. We're getting towards the end of Mercury retrograde. By the 18th, we're out of it, but it's going to station direct. It doesn't mean we're quite out of the soup yet, though, because then after that, we have the shadow for at least another week. So, oh, what fun, right? But yeah, we're almost out. So, you know, and even then, we always have stuff going on in on this channel. So I'm kind of used to it. So here she is. Hopefully, she makes it this time, Pam. Oh, I said her name, but she wants to be an experiencer. Don't tell her. She's one of our viewers. Okay. Hi, James Oritz. I don't know why she's not coming up. Oh, Lord. She's not coming up. Here we go. Yay. I think we've got her, or very nearly. Pam, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Yes, it's one of our Pams. It's not a ham Pam. It's one of our Pams. So, so you can see that. That's good. We have some contact, some kind of contact. Pam, if you can hear this, unmute yourself. Okay. Uh-oh. We'll talk. Well, we got something. We made some kind of contact. Uh-oh. Now she's trying again. Well, do 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 do. I'll kick her again. Uh, and let her in again. Maybe. Oh dear. If this doesn't work, I'm going to call her and put her on speaker. Because we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Mercury is retrograding, yes, until the 18th. Can you tell? I haven't had any trouble for the longest time getting guests in here, but sometimes phones are kind of weird. This is the first time I've had trouble with somebody's actual equipment, though, quite like this. Usually, yeah, I don't understand what's going on here. But then again, I'm not a technical person. Oh, and by the way, those of you I said that Cowboy swallowed a string, I was worried about it because that can be very dangerous for kitty cats. And I was worried that, because it can give them stomach problems and gut problems and stuff. And I said, okay, everybody, say let's say a little prayer for Cowboys and a little energy that everything comes out okay, so to speak. And then there's anybody who's had the unfortunate, cat who ate a string situation knows how that can be very hard to deal with. But I didn't know he was going to be an artist and throw up his string, and which I'm so glad about. But it looks like a toy mouse. I'm like, where did he get the toy mouse? It honestly does. It's shaped and then has a little tail coming up. I'm there like, you're an artist. I'm looking down. It really does look like a toy. It reminds me a little bit of owl casting, if you've ever seen an owl casting. He's creative. He's creative. Got to give him that. But it's out of him, so he did eat it, and it's out of him. So I'm glad. Okay, I'm going to try adding her again. Okay, Pam, you're on. You're on. Oh, bloody hell. We can't hear you.
Hello?
Hi. Okay, can you guys hear Pam?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
I think my volume on my actual phone went down on us. Imagine that.
Again?
Yeah, you want me to try it now? Because when you called, I could barely hear you. I had to turn you up.
Well, you're on now. I am Pam says you need to uncheck your mic. You need to uncheck it, but I don't think you're.
White is on and red is off, right?
When you first come in, leave it alone.
Where it says mic and camera?
Yeah, where it says camera, you mute that. When you hit it, you're muting it.
Okay, well, it doesn't give me that option until after I come in. And I don't
Yeah,
want anyone to see me.
you're not going to be seen. You're going to be backstage.
All right, we'll give it another shot.
Okay, we'll give it one more
I'm so
shot, and then
sorry.
if not, I'm going to call you on the phone. I'll call you on the phone like I am right now, and we'll just do the interview on the phone, and they'll hear the phone, okay?
Okay. And I can
Okay,
control the phone
we're
a
going
little
to
bit.
get this done somehow.
All right.
Okay. We're going to do this. It doesn't matter what kind of shenanigans going on here. This interview is going to happen. So basically, what happens with StreamYard is you go into the back room first, what they call the back studio or whatever, which gives you a chance to mute and unmute things. And she's worried about being seen. So, and you know what? I used to be like this. I understand. Yeah. Oh, cool phone holder. Yeah. Now let's see. Um, private chat. Let me see if I can get private chat to work. I'm going to need a laptop or something because this tablet is not doing that well either. It's having a hard time with it. Getting back and forth between things. Unfortunately, it's not the best either. So, but we're working with what we got. Okay. Okay, can you hear me? Yikes. Just nothing working. Hey, I heard you for a moment. Okay, I heard you for a moment there. Can you hear me? Ground control to Major Pam. Ground control to Major Pam. Dun 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 dun. We should have tried this. Gee, now I'm sorry we didn't try this before we went for it. Usually, there's no problem like that. Nothing like that. Um, I do understand some of this that she doesn't want to be. She's not in the mood to be seen, you know. We're going to give it one more try. I told her to just aim the and not hit any of the settings and aim the camera at the ceiling if she doesn't want to be seen. That could work too. Maybe somehow when she's muting the picture, it's also muting the sound. I don't know why that would be, but who knows? This is technology. We don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, my phone holder. I got it off Amazon. I saw somebody with one, and I'm like, gosh, I need one of those, um, so that I don't have to hold on to it. And it is so handy. I should be selling these things. Everybody wants one. And not only that, but you know what? You don't have to touch your phone to talk on it. You can then, if you're sitting at home or something, you can just put it on speakerphone and not even have to be touching your phone and have it near enough that people can hear you. So it's cool, you know. Um, I found it to be extremely useful. Okay, one last time. One last time. Can you hear me, Pam? Mama D to Pam. Ocean to Pam. Mission control to Pam. Can you hear me? We hear you. We heard you. Okay. Keep it aimed at your ceiling and yeah, we're okay. Somehow it had something to do with you muting. It muted you too, muted the sound. So just keep it facing toward the ceiling and talk to us. Hello? Uh-oh. We heard her for a moment. Can you hear me? We heard you for a moment. We heard you for exactly one moment. Ah, dear. Okay. But there's still no sound. Okay, that's it. I'm done trying to do it the nice way. Now we're going to do it the other way. We'll do it this way. Pam, I heard you for a moment.
Hello?
Hi, we heard you for just a second and then it went away.
Yeah, it keeps buffering on my end.
I see. Okay, well, I've got you on speaker on my phone now.
Okay.
So, F it. I'm gonna just go with it like this.
I apologize, everyone.
Nah, it's not a problem. We'll get through it. We've gotten through worse. So to ease the pressure on your phone, I'll take the I'll kick you. Well, I'll just leave it the way it is. What the heck? If it isn't affecting your phone, it isn't affecting it. But can everybody hear Pam? Can everybody hear? Okay. So you're on. Um, please start to tell us your story. Obviously, you've been having a lot of Mercury retrograde stuff going on.
Yes, ma'am, I sure have.
Okay, so now if you guys can't hear her or one of us, please let us know so that we can fix that, okay? Okay. So we're going to do this in a kind of a weird way, and well, that's just the way life is sometimes, right? Pam, go ahead and roll. We know that you've been a listener and you've been in a lot of these paranormal type chats, and that you've had a lot of experiences of your own. And I am telling people, I hope you don't mind that you have, although we're not mentioning names, that you have been harassed, and that's why you don't want,
I wouldn't call it harassment as much as just a little bit bullied.
Yeah, a bit bullied and kind of harassed. Because there are people that just don't agree with whatever it is you've experienced, which we do not allow people to be bullied on this show. And we absolutely say, please, folks, be kind to the visitors on this channel.
Well, this way I can't see a thing, so.
So, oh, you can't see the chats.
Right.
Well, don't worry.
I could if I wanted. I don't know if I want to. Let me see what goes
probably wouldn't be. It probably wouldn't be a good idea. You'd probably get an echo or something.
Okay, that's fine.
Probably wouldn't work very well. But it's okay. What's going on? Pam's been bullied, but I talked her into coming in anyway because she's got some interesting stories that go all the way back to when she was little, and it's worth telling, because honestly, we've got all got our stories. All of our stories are important to share because we are the only disclosure we're going to get. I hate to tell you, probably for a long time. We are the disclosure, and then really all we're going to get is maybe confirmation. So, Pam, go ahead and roll. Tell us your earliest paranormal experience, please.
They come in flashes because I was really, really young when I started. I'm going to say about 4 or 5. My brother would probably disagree with you and say about 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm. No, not bullied here, James, or she's been bullied on other shows.
There's neither here nor there of who and where.
Right. She just doesn't want to talk about that. Yeah, some people are mean to experiencers. That's why I always say that. Be nice. Be nice or you're going to get kicked. I have some very nice mods who will kick your butt right out the door. Okay, go ahead, Pam.
But I'm not sure if it was the UFO I experienced first or the story about the thing under the porch.
No, either one.
Really young. I wasn't quite in kindergarten yet, but I started kindergarten late, the end of December, maybe. Mm-hmm. So it was hard to.
Another December baby.
What's that?
Another December baby, huh? Here we go. There's a lot of us in this field,
Yeah.
Lots of us.
I didn't realize that, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But I lived on a hill, literally on a hill in a small town called Woodville, called Buckstown Hill. And at the bottom of the hill was a city park, and we were all either related or our parents babysitted, but we were all intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a summer evening, and we were heading home before the porch lights come on. And
Because we were all free range kids back then, right?
right,
Everybody
like
was free
you were
range
told to
kid
go
back then.
outside and play, and then you drank from a water hose, and
Yeah, we did all that stuff and we played with this great big toy called the outdoors, and we had to come in when mom called, and that was really the only, or when it got dark out, right?
exactly when that porch light
Yep,
come on, you better be accounted for.
right.
So, and behind our house, our front yard was on a brick road, honestly. And behind our house, it backed up to Wayne National Forest.
Mm-hmm. National Forest.
So my backyard was Wayne National Forest. And we were all, like my cousin lived at the bottom of the hill, like the second house. And then the next section up, well, her best friend lived across the street, a couple houses up. And then you made a left, but the hill went on up, and that's where some of our other relatives and kids that my mother babysitted all lived. If you made a left, you went up over this little hump on a little brick road, and 4 or 5 houses down was my house on the right.
Okay.
I had never had a real hard baby doll in my life, like the material. Mine were all like terry cloth, and my grandmother made every one except Mrs. Beasley. And
I remember that one. Yeah.
right, I was sending it as a story too. And
Mm-hmm.
my sister hadn't been around in a couple of years, and she was quite a bit older than me, like 9 years. So I'd go bebopping home and take my turn as we split up. And I go bebopping home, and I get to the house right next to my mom's, and something under the porch opened its mouth and stuck its tongue out, and it was like a snake tongue or a lizard tongue, and everything went quiet. But I was screaming to the top of my lungs. And I was froze. And this thing just kept opening its mouth. Now, it wasn't like a bloody mouth or anything like that. It didn't even have any teeth. It almost looked like a Muppet before the Muppets come out. Because the Muppets didn't come out until I was almost 10.
So it was just a mouth with a big, long, snaky tongue.
Well, it had like a fat snakehead shape when
Okay.
and it had black eyes, but it wasn't like it. Now that I look, at that time, I was scared to death.
Right.
But now that I look back on it, I think it was trying to be non-intimidating, like to warn me. But I was screaming to the top of my lungs from my mother. And finally, the neighbor come out, and he's like, "Why are you standing there?" And when he said, I couldn't hear what he said the first time because like there was this like his pop. And then when he said, "I asked you why are you standing there," I heard him. And I said, "That dang under the porch, it wants me, it's going to get me, it wants me." I didn't say it's going to eat me, it's going to take me. I didn't say anything like that. And he's like, "What? That thing?" And he walked over and he reached out, and it was just a baby doll head. But it was a hard baby doll head.
Of a baby doll that nobody in your family would have had, right?
What's that?
And something that nobody in your family would have had. So this would have been somebody before you or somebody else.
Well, yeah, like a neighbor or something else.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I said it wants me first. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
say it's going to get me till he walked over and said, "What, this thing?" It was constant. It says, "He wants me. It wants me." And I think I even referred to it as he.
He. Mm-hmm.
So
Interesting.
he walked over and picked it up there in the trash can because, we had trash cans that sat in front of our yards when we were little. You didn't have to put them away.
Right. So this was a baby doll head,
Just a baby doll head, nothing else.
just like a plastic or something.
It didn't even, and I literally seen it when he threw it in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
It was a baby doll head. I mean, it had like blonde hair,
Mm-hmm.
blue eyes. And his eyes wasn't black blue when I seen it. They were black.
Well, that would certainly be. That's a heck of a first experience. Yeah, that is one of the reasons why a lot of us don't like dolls. It's that kind of stuff happens. Many of us have ended up. Oh, Michelle Canham Free came in. Hi, Michelle. Yeah, many of us have had run-ins with dolls, and a lot of us are just kind of don't really like dolls. And my mother always wanted to give me a doll as a kid, and it's like I don't really want a doll.
Well, anyway, I got her doll for Christmas that year.
Hmm.
And I hated it. I wouldn't play with it. So my cousin started playing with it.
Hmm.
Then my girl cousin Alicia got into it over the baby doll. So to spite her, what's he do? He rips its head off. Never
Weird.
touched it again. Never looked at it. As a matter of fact, I think my mom got rid of it. Never saw it again. No, I freaked out.
Hmm. Yeah, because now you got another headless baby doll situation on you.
Right, right.
That's weird. That's freaky. Yeah, that's kind of freaky.
And I remember what baby doll it was, and it was really, really hard because it had the plastic knees and elbows because it was the crawl baby. Do you remember that one when it first came out?
Yeah. Hmm.
Sears and Roebuck?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Uh-uh. Nope, it had to go.
I really can't say that there anybody. It almost sounds like maybe you're not the only one though that was being affected by whatever was going on there.
Yeah, because my cousin Jeffrey picked up the baby doll and played with it. And it ripped the head
Interesting.
off. What the heck?
Interesting. Very interesting. I can't begin to tell you that I know what the mechanism is there, but that's an interesting thing. Okay, um, so
But,
you also,
but
okay, there's more to it.
no, I was going to go on to
The
the
flying
flash. I
saucer.
don't know if it was before or after.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, tell us about the flying saucer.
Well, actually, now I just answered myself because it was my sister's going away party and she hadn't been there for a while. A
Okay,
year, maybe two.
okay.
Um, her best friend walked out on our front porch to run through the backyard to go to her house instead of down the street and up the hill. And there was a disc above the house that they actually moved in before her mom married her stepdad and moved to the upper side of the hill. And she screamed and screamed and screamed. And of course, the police were called and other enforcers were called. And it moved really, really slow. It had red, blue, and green lights. Nothing like you see in these pictures. It was totally different, but it was a disc and it was huge. We followed it to the end of the brick road. And at the end of the brick road, if you went straight, there was a couple houses with no driveways and a big field where you could go left and go back down the hill, which we called the back hill. This thing went across the field and kind of hovered for a while, and then it just shot off. And of course, authorities were there, and the chief of police, he was really young, God rest his soul. He was going to shoot it down with a pistol. But he was young. Nobody had ever seen anything like that. He was real young. But I'm just telling the truth.
I know. I'm sorry.
Oh my
I
gosh, I
just
love
got a
her.
picture of Barney Fife.
And
You know, you remember Barney Fife from Andy and Mayberry? I just got citizens arrest.
he was skinny like that and everything. We called him that.
Well,
Yeah.
I am psychic, so
Oh,
I could
really?
have
Yeah.
picked that up. Oh, by the way, I am Pam says I had something similar happen at the same age, but not with a doll, about the doll story. It
Oh, I'm
was with
interested.
something else. We'll have to ask Pam to come on and explain some of her experiences. The other Pam.
But if I can
Um,
remember right,
and then
that
James,
happened that whole summer. That whole summer.
that
And I
happened the
think
whole
that's
summer.
why I hate Star Trek so much.
You hate Star Trek?
The first one, when I was a kid, we had Saturday and Sunday night were family night TV. Star Trek coming on Saturdays. The boys got to watch it, and we got to watch Disney on Sunday.
Okay,
And
so
when
you
that
did.
music would come on, I would run through the house crying because I did not want to watch it. My dad would, or my mom, because my dad left when I was 3.
So you had a
I mean, he was
very.
always in my life, but he didn't. He actually stopped coming to my mom's when I was 3. Um, he tried to explain to me that it was just a TV show, but to me it wasn't.
Mhm.
So, and the one, and this will be interesting to you, Diane, the one that scared me the most, the episode was the black blob whale that ate Kurt one time.
Yeah. Um,
So, I'm pretty sure this happened afterwards. Long story short, my brothers and sisters and some of the older kids had been talking about some caves in the Wayne National Forest that they had been at. And I'm sure they were partying, but
I'm going to say it again, national forests, and we know about national forests, don't we, everybody? That national forests are where a lot of stuff happens, right? Okay, because of an agreement supposedly made with our government, but we're not supposed to know about that.
right.
But anyway, go on.
Well, my mom was working in the garden, and for some reason, I decided I was going to go find those caves.
You're
So,
a
I mean,
brave
I was
kid.
going in the woods no matter what she did, and she couldn't catch me, and she sent my brothers after me. But long story short, they sent a lot of people after me because I disappeared for a day and a half. But to me, I was only gone at the most, but I was little, 15, 20 minutes an hour. And what I remember is going in, just as I said, and I remember walking and walking and walking. And
Mm-hmm.
then this little white hill or ravine, I tripped and I fell and I rolled down over into the leaves. And I didn't like that, so I went back home. But instead of going home, I remember being so tired that I curled up on my neighbor's porch. And she's still alive. She's like 97 years old. She come out. She said, "Oh my gosh, tell Wanda Pamy's down here." And her house was one of those houses just before the field.
So basically, this is like you don't remember any intervening. Did everybody else notice intervening time?
My sister did, but she has hearing and speech impediment, so it's so hard to get her to remember because it all began at her going away party. I really believe.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the other two things happened after, but it's such a flashbacks instead of a solid memory. And I don't want to mislead anybody. I don't want to lie to anybody.
Right. So how long did they think you were gone?
A day and a half.
A day and a half. And you don't remember that day and a half?
No, ma'am.
Not,
I remember
not a
going
bit of
in,
it.
I remember tripping, and I remember coming out.
And you remember walking up out of the where you were and walking to the neighbors and being so tired you just crashed on their porch. Okay.
Yep.
And did they say that they had people out searching for you?
They had everybody out searching for me. They had 4 strangers, but they didn't call them rangers back then. They had the county, the city, and the whole neighborhood.
Everybody was searching for you, but nobody could
Oh
find
boy, did
you.
I get in trouble.
So, missing time. Well, this kind of stuff happens. I mean, look at the progression here, you know? And you're seeing a flying disc and then you're missing time and
I was so little, how can I even begin to say that what I experienced was even real?
well, I put a little bit more credibility in what kids say than some people do because sometimes I think they are a little more honest about what they're seeing because they don't know any better, you know? So, really, I mean, if everybody's experiencing this, there is no way that you're going to be not noticing a day go by because that means you'd spend a night out in the woods or near this cave. Here we go with the cave.
Well, I
National
don't know if I ever got near the cave or not.
National Forest where there's a cave where people have already seen a UFO, where you already had an experience of something under your porch that who knows whether that was a spiritual thing or a physical thing, but might have been actually something hooked to the baby doll head. So you then had um, got in trouble for actually the missing time, which is, if you ask me, the stupidest thing I ever heard. Because how, you know,
It was more my dad than my mom.
right?
It's
But
an excuse to give my mom a hard time. I really believe that.
it's out of fear, probably. I mean, probably mostly out of fear.
But
So
I had nosebleeds start immediately after that, and they lasted for a few years.
there you go. Nosebleed.
Unexplainable nosebleeds. They sent me to what we would call children's now, but it wasn't then. It was just the specialist hospital for kids.
This is another major sign that something is going on. I had those too. So
So
many of us did have those nosebleeds. So, wow. So, did anything further happen with that?
not that I can remember other than we were down at, it's really called Little Muskingum River, but as kids we called it the creek. We used to, our parents would like take their cars down and have us wash them, and we'd spend a little bit. We just thought that was the greatest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And up around the bend that we couldn't see, where the older kids were almost allowed to go, but not around the bend because they couldn't be seen, and older kids will be older kids.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big splash, and something ran up the hill. And after that, our parents either got us a pool, built us a pool, or we got a pool pass.
So you never went to the creek again?
Only as teenagers when we snuck down there and stuff. Yeah, that was it.
So
Yep.
something ran up the hill. Do you have any remembrance of what that was?
I remember the parents and the older kids saying that wasn't a bear, that wasn't a bear, but I never seen it. All I heard was the splash.
Uh, so basically, it was just something that everybody was talking about, and then they wouldn't let their kids back there.
And one of them was told to stop scaring the little ones, that it was a bear, and we never went back. Nope. not with our parents to watch the cars and have a picnic lunch or anything like we used to.
Okay, well, I can't prove a daggone thing either, but that sure sounds like a typical Sasquatch type thing. They think it's a bear, but it's not a bear.
Now that I'm older, yes, and I didn't have that flashback till someone said something about going to the creek when they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "You remember that?" And then they said, "Yeah, you don't remember." And I think it was my brother Ben before he passed away, but I'm not sure because usually Ben didn't go to the creek, but evidently he was there that day.
So Ben is your older brother?
Ben was my older brother. He was 6 years and 7 months older than me.
Mm-hmm.
6 years and 11 months older than me.
So he would have seen it probably.
Yeah, he'd have been probably one of the kids right almost to the bed. Yeah.
But you don't want to talk about that kind of stuff. Nobody talks about that kind of stuff because you get in trouble.
We're allowed to. I'm telling you, that's when you either got a pool, they built a pool, or you got a pool pass, depending on where you were.
Yeah, they just didn't want you to get near the creek again. Okay, so
honestly, our parents would entertain us with a picnic lunch and get their cars washed for free while they had a few beers.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that is this kind of something that sticks with me.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom was never a drinker, so there you go. She was the driver all the time.
Right. Designated driver, as we say
my
these
mom
days.
Didn't smoke, didn't swear.
Mm-hmm. So then the next thing we're going to switch gears a little bit. Was that the end of that particular kind of paranormal for you?
Was that what?
Was that the end of that particular kind of paranormal experience for you?
I think so, because our house burnt down.
Okay, then your house burnt down.
Yes, ma'am.
What were the situations concerning that?
They cleared it as electrical, but they also, if my aunt used to help my mom a lot because she was a professional babysitter back then, but that's not what they called them. They just called them the neighbors want to watch the kids.
Mm-hmm.
My aunt had went back to Zanesville that day. And I remember her leaving because I was upset that she was leaving because my sister had been gone almost a year, 2 years by this time, I think. And I would have had to go upstairs with my bedtime alone, and the older kids would have got to stay downstairs and play cards and things because it was the weekend. Well, I didn't go. I snuck into the good living room, curled up on the couch, and went to sleep. But if I went upstairs, I probably wouldn't be here tonight.
So for some reason, you just sort of disobeyed the usual rules and snuck into somewhere else in the downstairs and curled up and went to sleep. So, yeah. And then when the fire happened, what happened?
They had a hard time finding me. My mom pretty much almost burnt herself up trying to get to me. And for some reason, the brother that I was so close to said, "I'm going to check the good living room."
Mm-hmm.
And he ran in, and there I was. So he's like, "Mama, she's safe." I told her to go out the front door, but I didn't. Now, mind you, I'm only 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
Well, it was cold. It was getting colder because I was in kindergarten now.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the everyday living room and through the dining room, and my brother Ben said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Well, someone's got to let the dog out." Because we had the dog in the basement because it was cold.
Oh. So you were worried about the dog.
We moved, of course. Mm-hmm. And my mom rented a house across from another brick road. So they're little. They're usually one lane, and you have to, merge. From the old part of the cemetery, no less.
And then they move from this place to where no longer do they have the national park in the backyard. Now it's a cemetery
In the front yard.
in the front yard.
In the front yard, because the house faced a brick road and was
Are you guys hearing this?
Are you laughing at
You
me?
can't make this up. No, I'm not laughing because I'm just laughing
No,
at.
I'm just saying. I mean, I would be laughing, and I would say this girl's an idiot.
No, not you. It's like, why would they do that? Why would you move? Maybe because they could afford it. I don't know. It was,
Well, she was looking for a place in a hurry because house burnt down.
right.
She had kids to put a roof over their head. And
so the next place has a cemetery.
What's that?
The next place has a cemetery in the front yard. Oh, look, holy cow.
The old part of the cemetery.
The old part of the cemetery. So now you're out of one woo and into another woo, into another woo type situation.
And I start seeing black blobs.
And you start seeing black blobs. Oh my
Just
God.
blobs.
Just
blobs.
In your room at night?
What's that?
And in the nighttime, in the daytime?
It was at nighttime only, and it didn't matter what room I was in. If it was dark, I saw blobs. Okay, so when you turn out the lights, all of a sudden there are these blobs. And I would say my prayers, and they would go away. In a couple hours again, they'd start their game again, and this would go on all night. And I think it was the beginning of my insomnia.
Ah, okay. Yeah, see, mine was giant spiders in my room. Same kind of thing. It weren't blobs, it was giant spiders. And then I met the future father of my kids. Oh, you did? As I got older, because we're going to jump forward, I would say my prayers, like I said, and they would go away, and then it would just start over, and that was the beginning of my insult. Wow. So when I met him, the first time I ever walked through this, they had one of them big, open, like, I want to say Irish doors that had no window, no doors, or it wasn't like a normal frame. It was a big, round opening. And when I walked into that living room and I walked under that opening, I felt like I'd been there before. So. Okay, yeah. So basically. And then I started having the repeated dream that makes me think I've been here before. So you had a very strong deja vu experience in that place. Always. Yeah. Even when we lived there as our kids were growing up. Are you guys hearing? Because I want to make sure everything's going on well with the stream. Can somebody type something so that I know? Because this thing freezes from time to time, and I want to make sure you're still getting this stream. They're probably so stunned that they're like, hey, this is wet. Mm-hmm. So you have, I want to make sure we're getting this, that it's working, since we've been having all kinds of troubles. Thank you, Simon. So Simon said something, literally. So good dog. So basically now you're seeing blobs in the rooms when the lights are off, and this is interesting because Carlos Castaneda, I remember a story about him talking to a shaman, and his shaman telling him when he was in shaman training, turning off the lights, and him realizing that the room was actually full of stuff. And sometimes I would actually get up and run into my mom's room, but yeah, you know how that goes. Mm-hmm. They're just listening quietly, I guess. They're just kind of propped back listening to your story. I guess they're just so Listening to your story that they're not chatting very much. Okay. Just every now and then type something and so that I know that we're not frozen or, know that you're getting it. So, yeah, but I do that all the time. I just kind of kick back and listen a lot of time and stalk, you bunch of stalkers,
So I really
lurkers, not stalkers, lurkers. But y'all a bunch of you can be lurkers. I don't care. You can lurk a
we'll
while.
get to him in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to her stalker in a minute. Oh, it doesn't end with the woo doesn't end with just one kind
He's
of woo.
actually coming right up because like
We got every kind of woo here.
Fast forward, the kids' dad and I got married. He did 12 years in the service. We stayed another 3 years on the Eastern Shore. We come home, lived in that house where I always had to recur. I still have it, but it was really strong in that house. But I don't believe they ever had anybody that passed away in a car accident. But I'm also afraid of heights and snakes, so who knows? Anyway, the stalker. So Dave and I get divorced. Well, when I moved home with him when after the third year, my youngest was 2 years old, so I know we did 3 years after ETS because we had a townhouse. We moved home, and long story short, things led to a divorce, and that was the only time I was ever really a state or anything away from the brother that passed was when we moved home those 3 years until I got older. I mean, much older.
Okay.
So, where am I going to go? I head to Virginia because he had moved, when we moved from Maryland, he moved to Virginia. So there I go, back to my Bobby. And he had a few good neighbors, and a few rotten neighbors. And I'm going to say Tommy was somewhere in between. Catch him on a good day, he was a great person. Catch him on a bad day, oh my Lord. Well, my brother was a roofer. He was a hard worker. This guy was a mason that got paid on their table. And I'll go to say, I'd give my left pinky for a Harley. And he used to make his bags, especially when he was drinking.
For a Harley, huh?
A Harley. For a Harley.
So he'd give his left pinky for a Harley. Your brother said that.
He said it all the time, but you understand other people in the family have them, and it was just a thing.
Right.
Tommy had a big crush on me. I have no idea why.
Which shall be known heretofore as the stalker.
This is the stalker. He becomes the stalker, yes.
Here on in, he's the stalker. Okay.
No, by this time I have my own place, so he's actually driving by my house and things like that, and I don't even realize that I'm not paying attention. And he was talking to 2 other girls at the time, so I really wasn't paying attention until I just got so irritated about him saying to my brother, especially on a good drunk night, and back then him and my brother both could put him away. I went too far behind him. I can pay cash for a Harley tomorrow if I wanted to. Well, I also dated a biker at one point in time. So that was really a button with me, and you're talking about my brother, my Bobby. And I said, you know what, why don't you put your mouth, and I didn't quite say it that way, where your money is, or your money where your mouth is. I mean, I was mad. But I kept hearing this every time I seen my brother, because as soon as I'd see my brother, he'd come to visit. He lived downstairs. Duh, duh, duh.
Mm-hmm.
So he did. He went out that weekend and bought a saw-tail Harley. Didn't even have a motorcycle license. He went and got them, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, he put his money where his mouth was.
I guess so.
So, I don't know if he thought that was going to impress me or what, but it really angered me. Because I took it, I'm not sure he has his side of the story, but I took it as, now you're rubbing it in his face. Not even mine, and not as an attraction to see if I would be attracted, but as now you're rubbing it in my brother's face.
Mm-hmm.
So that really, really, really made me mad.
Yeah.
And the one girl that was kind of talking to him, I can't even say he was dating him, just talking, got really upset that he liked me so much. And that's how I really kind of noticed.
Mm-hmm.
But then the one he ended up marrying after I left Virginia got really hostile. So on a really dumb night, I did something I shouldn't have just because I could. And that really made a bad situation worse on both of them. Because now not only is he stalking me, but she's stalking me.
Oh, dear.
I found her. My kids and I were actually coming out of my apartment. Now, mind you, my windows, bedroom and living room are only 3 feet off the floor. My bathroom floor, maybe 4.
Mm-hmm.
My kids and I are coming out of my apartment because we're going to go spend the day on the boat with the guy that I was actually dating. She's crunched under my window. I sent my kids back to the apartment. I flipped out. She's like, well, I'm just looking for Tommy. I said, well, he's not under my window.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, hi, Marilena. Marilena came in. Hi.
And it just got to the point, like, I worked for a very well-known wholesale company. They were just really becoming big then, but they're huge now. Okay? And we were actually renting the building we were in for the warehouse and the customer service area. At the same time, we were building a new one in a little town called Nokesville, but the one we were renting was, well, remember John Wayne Bobbitt, right?
Right.
It was on that actual corner where she threw the merchandise out.
Where she
Road in Manassas.
threw what she bobbed, huh?
Yeah.
Ah.
Okay.
Well, isn't that interesting?
I thought
That's got to be a very special energy, doesn't it? A very special energy.
But that always just kind of gave me the willies, because I remember when she did it, my husband and my kids' dad and I were still married and in Maryland.
Oh, wow.
That's where that warehouse was, and there was a brickyard. It was, it was a business division. That's why I said where it was, because people would recognize it.
Of course, this is all taking place in Ohio.
No, this is Virginia.
Oh, this is Virginia. Oh, rather, yeah, Virginia, Maryland, Virginia. Okay. Okay, Virginia. Okay, so this is Virginia.
Then the warehouse is finally finished, and it's in Nokesville. On Nokesville Road, but way on down, because, Nokesville runs for a while. Walsall Road runs through Manassas. Nokesville Road runs from Manassas to Nokesville, obviously. So we're almost to Nokesville with this new warehouse. Now, backing up, there was a brickyard, and he was a mason at Walsall Road. So that's where he always got his bricks and his, sediment and his whatever he needed, his rock mixture or whatever he was doing. He would always go to Baltimore Road. So, Diane, I got so excited because that meant he wasn't going to follow me anymore. At least 10 to 6. because that was my shift. I was what they called third shift customer service shift. We come in 8 to 4, 9 to 5, and 10 to 6.
Okay.
The third day at the new warehouse, and it's new. I mean, they're still doing electrical work around us, and you get to dress down because there's mud all the way to your knees, so make sure you got a good pair of boots. That's how soon we moved. And I look across the way because they got the construction fence all the way around it, except for the entrance. And there sits his truck. And I look at my best coworker friend, and I say, Tiffany, what color's that truck over there? She said burgundy red. I said, oh my God. And sure enough, there was a brickyard.
Oh boy. Hello, Lily Pond. Lily Pond made it in. Huh?
So,
welcome.
flash forward, him and this, I'm going to say the little girl, because the girl that was my brother's friend that was talking to him was quite tall and thick. She wasn't fat. She big boned and a big girl. She was like 6 foot, I swear. Her name was Dee, short for Davita. But the one he married was little like me. Okay, but he doesn't marry her till later. So anyway, yeah, I wasn't a very nice person, and I did something I shouldn't have, because she was getting very vulgar with me under her breath. And I told you how I told him to put his money where his mouth was, but I still took it offensive. I didn't take it the way I think he wanted me to take it. And then I did what I did, and I shouldn't have done it. And I felt bad immediately. But she called that day. And she's like, where's Tommy? I know he's there. And I was like, I'm not in charge of your boyfriend. And hung up on her. And he's like, what are we going to do? I said, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going to 7-Eleven for coffee. That's how bad that was. I should have never put. Fast forward, he gets his Harley. He takes her out on a bike ride, and they have an accident. Now, he has his license. He didn't drive it illegally. And it almost kills her. So she, I don't think, if I remember right, would get back on the bike. But he would. But my oldest son started acting up, and he started influencing the younger one, and they come first. And then a silent owner decided to become a public owner and took the funnest job and the best job I ever had and turned it into a sweatshop, no less. He lost a lot of customer service reps, and with everything I had going on, I said, it's time to go. And back to Ohio we went.
Okay.
I'm going to say in 2002. In 2004, I married my first love, and we bought a house in a small town called Bridgeport, which I do believe my stepson had some experiences with, but he would never talk about it. And then my husband got a different job, and he didn't want to drive, so where does he move us? He rents a house smack dab in the middle of Wayne National Forest.
Oh boy. Here we go again.
Okay.
Here we go again. Back in the National Forest.
The owner of the house had a very young nephew who was a twin drowned in the Little Muskingum River. Well, he didn't drown. They assumed he drowned.
They didn't find him?
They found him, but the autopsy showed a broken neck, so some debris must have got him. He was 5 or 6 years old. And I remember when this happened, because my son said something awful because he didn't like what they had at lunch that day. And when I got the news, I didn't know them personally, but you're talking about a community. You're talking about a county that knows everybody's business.
Right.
Okay, so the news went fast because the girl wasn't supposed to have her kids or her nephew down there, and she went anyway. But she's never been right since. So, I mean, God bless her heart.
Mm-hmm.
She almost lost the other twin and her nephew, but she was able to keep a hold of them. So evidently, whatever hit Kevin yanked him from their grip and is what actually did the damage. So I don't like to say they even yanked it, whatever hit Kevin. They think it was a log. Just kind of took him away from the others, and that's probably what saved him. But they found him a couple of miles downstream in a one of them drainage pipes.
Oh.
His brother Kyle said he used to visit him at the restaurant for like a year or two afterwards. But in this restaurant is a picture of this house that I live in, all the way back in 1898. I can't remember the name of it, but it's in a small town called New Matamoros.
Okay.
So, my address in this place was Graysville or Rhinans Mills, depending on what way you come in to the area, because the Little Musk Kingdom was right in front of, but you had the highway and you had the Little Musk Kingdom River, and there was a T-bridge. When you crossed that T-bridge, you drove right in to my driveway, which was on the side of the house because it was attached to a store. Now, this store was the very first post office in Monroe County. And I guess the postmaster wasn't a nice guy. He did some terrible things.
Oh.
And there was the child that passed away in the Little Musk Kingdom. There was him. I do believe a little girl that my childhood best friend was related to named Becky. And then either the postmaster was what my husband and I saw together, or it was actually a demon. But let the fun begin.
Right. Here we go.
I had a train, and that train in its own story would take forever, but it would operate when it shouldn't. And long story short,
So your train would go when it wasn't being used, when you weren't using it.
Right. My step grandson wouldn't even be there.
Why do I get the feeling that very, very often your guardian angel was face palming?
I don't know,
but yeah. So you basically now you got a haunted train.
Right.
Okay.
So it began with the first day there with this daggone train because it took two different sets of batteries. Okay, well, when we moved in, the furnace guy had to come and start the furnace because it was a gas furnace. And he was like, "Do you have any batteries for the thermostat?" And I'm like, "You got to understand, this is boondocks, people."
Mm-hmm.
BFE.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, "Do you got any batteries?" I said, "Batteries? I didn't know I needed batteries. Bobby that's the landlord. Bobby didn't tell me I needed batteries." So, I was like, "Wait a minute, what size?" And he said, "Okay." So I took him out of the train because it was sitting right there. I took one set out, and he put them in. I said, "I'll replace those batteries when I go pick up your mommy from school." Yeah, right. I forgot. So a couple of weeks go by, maybe a couple of days, I wasn't even paying attention, and the train goes off. And I said, "Did you put batteries in Ashton's train?"
So
"Oh, I didn't." "You think your dad did?" And she's like, "No, Dad wasn't even home long enough because he was a truck driver." So we were home alone a lot. Kimmy is the baby's mom. So she's standing at the top of the steps one day, arguing with me, I do believe, which I really had no control of. So she wasn't very good when we lived at this house, and I'm not going to say she was the best child before or the best child after, but I do think something affected her in this house too.
Right.
Standing at the top of the steps arguing with me, and if I wouldn't have been at the bottom of the steps, well, I didn't see a thing. All I seen was her front from like her waist up, lunge forward, and down she came. And she swears to this day that something pushed her, and I do too. And if I wouldn't have been there to break her fall, it would have killed her.
And it might have.
I didn't tell you this one. Ashton was never afraid of anything. And he was in a car seat because he was a toddler. And I carried the car seat in instead of waking him up. He come home one late night, picking John up off the road.
Mm-hmm.
And he opens his eyes and lets 3 blood-curdling screams and then closes his eyes again.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever he saw that we couldn't see, and I knew then he saw something because he closed his eyes and wouldn't open them back up, and he was just shaking. So I took him out of the car seat, got him as calm as I could. Happy happened to be there, so that helped out a lot. He was a Pappy's boy. And then this train, it kept going off, it kept going off, it kept going off. Now, DJ didn't tell me what he seen, or that he even seen anything. So finally I said to him, I said, take him out of the batteries out of that train. Ashton wasn't even here this weekend, he was at his dad's. DJ said, all right. Well, I don't know, fast forward a couple days, maybe a week. DJ's there again, so it had to be a weekend, because him and his brother was there, and Kim was there, and the baby was there. Well, the baby wasn't there. And it went off again, and I said, DJ, do you take all the batteries out like I told you to? He said, I did the last time I was here, Mom. And I said, well, throw it in the store, because the post office was also a used store at one point in time, and it was big. I'd say 300 feet, 100 yards long. It was twice the size of the house, and the house was a farmhouse. So he picks it up and he throws it in there. Well, when he did, he come back out and he was real quiet. And he never come back to that house. Well, he meets this kid named Kyle through Kimmy, which is my stepdaughter, and they become great friends. And he gets a job, and him and his girlfriend that he had since 6th grade, which of course that never works out, but he was going to engage, ask her to marry him. So he quit coming around and didn't think about it. I knew he was working, I knew he was doing his thing. I had the other two, Justin and Kimmy, and the grandbaby.
Right.
So, some really weird things, like Ashton getting scared and Kimmy getting pushed down the steps and not being able to get in the house when the key just wouldn't work. And here's the thing, this one, when you pulled up in our driveway, like I said, the store was in front of the house was attached to it, but the house was like a side view to the road. We had these 2 great big windows in this bedroom that nobody would go in. Nobody. I wouldn't even go in it. We'd throw stuff in it for storage and run like hell. Oops, I'm sorry.
Because somehow, no, that's okay. It's not a big deal. So somehow reason you guys, it creeped you out, this place.
I think it was a mutual agreement to get the heck out of there. But I had put Christmas paper up on the windows because whenever you pulled up, it just was the worst eerie feeling that you were being watched from that room. Because it faced the driveway. So, long story short, the husband was always on the road, the well come disconnected. He wouldn't come down, the guy wouldn't come down and fix it. We got into an argument. I'm dealing with a 15-month-old grandson, an unruly stepdaughter that he had custody. I had no rights. I couldn't do anything but call him and say, she's doing this, she's doing that.
Right.
Worst come to worst, we start to move out. Well, our washer and dryer had to be in that store because he had no hookups in the house. They were in the storeroom. So we were doing laundry and trying to get out of there properly. And the store had two entrances. It had an entrance off the porch that faced the driveway. And you could actually open up a door, which was the door that DJ threw the train out in. And mind you, I had heard the train go off so many times after DJ left that I put it in a trash bin and melted it. One weekend when Ashton wasn't there, it disappeared. I melted it, put it in the trash fire.
Okay. So basically, you had gotten rid of the train. You just had enough of the haunted train.
Yes.
That worked even without batteries.
Right.
Whoa.
I mean, the whole time we lived there, because remember, I took the first set of batteries out of it for the furnace guy.
Right.
So, my husband is by the washer, and he's closer to the entrance that we didn't use because it's a dilapidated porch that you used to go into the store until they built the front doors. But they're still like really, really old compared to, I mean, the place was built in 1898.
So, and this is the house that was in the painting, in the picture?
Yep. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the restaurant, but Nina's Morris is really tiny. It's probably the only restaurant there.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a very good restaurant. The one on down the road was
better.
Must
have been a kind of a prominent place at some point. I mean, your house must have been must have belonged to somebody important.
It was an old post office.
Had been an old post office.
It was the very first post office in Monroe County. And the postmaster was not a very nice person. Okay,
now I understand the bit about the post. Okay, for some reason that part had escaped me while I was trying to listen. I guess, yeah.
He did some really rotten things to kids.
He did some bad things.
Person, and he got away with it.
Okay, so probably pizza related or something, huh?
And he is actually related to the guy that owns the house I live in, which the girl that lost the twin was a sister to that guy, so it would be his granddaughter, the postmaster's granddaughter. Dear. So it's all intertwined.
Yeah, no kidding.
And back to where was it? The train or the? So
you'd melted the train.
I was standing at the washer. Okay, and that was closest to the dilapidated entrance from the store.
Right.
I'm at the entrance that's connected to the house, and I'm closer to the dryer. So we're a distance of 15 feet apart. Now, the entrance from the house to the store is 2 steps. You take 2 steps down into the store. As I was taking that first step, something was, what is the word I'm looking for? Developing, and it was coming slowly, and I literally watched this thing come up out of the floor, as did my husband, and make itself known. It had really pink skin compared to ours. It had bumps upon bumps upon bumps. It had just these huge ass sharp teeth, and it had a finger like they talk about that witch with the finger that would eat the children's livers.
I am not.
I'm not. Long finger or something. See if chat can help me out with that.
Does anybody know what she's talking about? The witch with the finger that would eat children's livers? I'm not aware of that story, but it sounds pretty nasty. So it had one.
That's what the finger reminded me of. Um, and for some reason, because the way it made itself appear, I don't know why I did this. It could have probably walked through the wall. Instead of just turning around and walking out, I took a step backwards, slid up against that wall. By the time my husband got into the house, I was already out of the house, in the car, with the keys, and said, "We're leaving."
Uh, I guess.
Like, where did you see that? Did you see that thing? What was that thing? I thought it was you because it was short. Well, I wouldn't go back. I tried to go back because we were expecting tax returns. And I got to that T bridge. And I did a T U-turn. I couldn't do it. I sat there, I know, 15 minutes. And I just couldn't even pull up to the mailbox. It was actually in the front of the store, not the side. So it wouldn't have even been my driveway. It would have been the side of the road, which is Route 26, if anybody wants to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Rodder Fields. So I went to the post office. I put a stop on the mail. John threw a fit. He's like, taxes are in the mailbox. I said, if you want them, go get them. But luckily, they were at, I got them, and I got the block on the mail in time, and we got them at the post office. Because they won't forward taxes. So I just put a block on it, stopped it.
Right.
And that way our taxes wouldn't get returned. And I just checked the post office until they came. Well, fast forward a few more years. Remember, I told you my son met this boy named Kyle. Become great friends through my stepdaughter. Now, him and Kyle are still friends to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But Kimmy's no longer in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So, and remember, DJ said something really bad when I told him that the little boy had drowned, because at that time that's what we thought. It wasn't really bad for a 6-year-old, but he just said, "I don't care, I'm hungry." I said, "You'll care someday."
Yeah.
Okay, so, and you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So DJ and Ashley break up because DJ was human and he cheated on her and got the girl pregnant.
Oh, that's lovely.
So flash forward about 4 years now. We've been out of this house for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Carson's actually coming down to play in the pool for the first time. I always had a pool. I had a house, I had a pool. I had fibromyalgia, I always had a pool.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't swim in it much, but
I wish I had a pool to swim in.
now I wish I would have taken advantage of having that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So DJ's got Carson down there, and John and I are having our issues, and it was really bad. He was scared of me, and I was scared of him, and neither one of us, I think, would have hurt each other. I hope not, but it was just, the air was so thick. And DJ says, "Mom, you know why I stopped coming down on Route 26 there in the forest when you guys had that spooky house? Well, mind you, it's been 4 years. I ain't thought about that train in a long time." Mm-hmm. He said, "I saw a little boy run away from the train when you told me to pick it up out of the hallway and throw it into the store. He ran into the store and vanished." That little boy's name was Kevin Boron. He was the twin to Kyle, which is now my son's friend.
Right.
Did we finish the stalker story?
No.
So I move home. I marry my second husband. That's how we got to the haunted house.
So this little boy that he saw was a ghost?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't doubt my son in that sense. Goosebumps all the way
So
up my
that
spine.
was
But I
his
knew
train.
immediately that it was Kevin. There was no other way. Kevin drowned right in front of that house. Well, he didn't drown. He got hit by whatever happened to him. He died in the water.
And it was his train. Okay, gotcha. He was the one with the train. Okay, so now
I think he was the one messing with the train. I can't say that.
But it would be a guess. Okay, we're guessing.
Well, yeah, he was 5, 6 when he drowned.
Right.
Well, I don't know why I keep saying drowned because he did not drown.
Because he had a broken neck, but they said he drowned, right? But he died.
Originally, they said he drowned, but what autopsy showed he had a broken neck.
So something happened. So anyway, something happened to this kid, and then you're having a haunted train, and then then there's this little boy attached to this haunted train. Okay, so that's this spooky house. Okay, so far we've got a progression here going, Pam. I guess it's time to tell the end of the stalker part, or tell the stalker part, how the stalker fits into this.
So, just before we moved into this house, I was starting to show symptoms. This is about 2006, late 2006, maybe early 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Fibromyalgia, and it might have even been later than that. I'm going to say it was because I didn't get my diagnosis till 2009 because you have to go through MS tests, you have to go through neurological tests, you have to go through all kinds of stuff. But now they just do one test, and they'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I get news. I'm still working, so the baby hadn't been born yet. But we're in the house that we had bought together, that house, the one that we moved when he got a different job, to the haunted house. And
mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I guess he had taken the bike out one day. And mind you, anytime, even though I was 300 some odd miles away from him,
mm-hmm.
anytime I would see a truck resembling his, my heart would stop because I really did expect him to follow me. Even though he married her, I expected him to follow me.
Because this guy was always following you in this truck.
But luckily, it wasn't him. And then I get word from a mutual friend of him and his wife's and mine that he was driving his Harley one Saturday morning, and Tommy was a drinker, so even if he didn't have a beer that day, there was still alcohol in his system because he drank every day, so it never left the system.
Right.
He was going down Knoxville Road, I do believe. Might have been Weirton, but he was coming from Weirton.
Mm-hmm.
And the person coming the other way had already passed 2 or 3 cars illegally in very high speeds, and also had been drinking with children in the car.
Oh, lovely.
And he had passed a couple more, and he come up on this hump, and he decided, even though he couldn't see up over the hump, he was going to pass the 2 cars in front of him, as he had done previously twice, maybe 3 times. Witnesses had told this story. I tried to find the article today. I couldn't find it. I can't remember the name of the papers down there, so...
Which is always a bad idea. Yeah.
Well, I wanted it for you.
Well, I mean, it's a bad idea to try and pass cars on a hill like that where you can't see what's coming.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I meant.
Tommy was coming up over the hump, and he was hit head on and died at the scene. And my friend sent me his obituary. She sent me the hard copy. Wow. Actually, then he had died before all this because I left it. I remember specifically when I looked at it, I was like, you can stay here with the rest of them. and I put it in an old car seat, and I left it in the storage room because I wouldn't go back. I remember putting it there, and I said, that stays there. We're not taking that. That's garbage. And then then that was the last time we were there. So I do remember leaving the obituary there. And John's like, what is it? I said, just an obituary of an old friend of Virginia. So,
which you didn't want anything to do with.
But when I got news, so I was back to working.
Mm-hmm.
So we no longer had Ashton. Kimmy's mom took him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he died before we moved. I don't know. I'd have to check the dates of the houses and stuff.
Right.
But I got word that he died.
Right.
And I didn't know how to feel about it.
Right.
But I honestly believe that my fibromyalgia is the karma for me doing what I did just because I could. But Tommy died that day. And that was what I thought was the end of him until you told me otherwise.
Okay. And this is when, okay, so then Pam and I were talking, and my part of this is Pam and I were talking, and we could not. You're hearing her clear on the phone now, right?
Yeah, my phone hasn't went down once.
The phone was all over the place when we were trying to talk. It was, I couldn't hear half of what she was saying. It was garbled. It was, the volume was getting turned down. And I finally said, and we were talking about all her stories that she was thinking of telling. And I said, somebody's messing with you. And I just got this impression that somebody's messing with you. She was talking about her brother's death, actually. You were talking about how your brother died. And, but I said, but yeah, there seems to be, and you were asking about your brother and your mother. And then I got an impression, but this is somebody else and they're messing with your phone. So I called him out. I'm like, all right, I don't know who you are, but you got to quit messing with the phone because you're pissing me off and you don't want to piss me off because um, if you give me trouble, I can send you away forever. And that's when you told me about your stalker and how he died and how you kind of felt like it might have had some connection to his death.
The way you kept saying something about you getting the vibe, and this guy, it's a guy, and he's one eye.
It's a guy, yeah. And it looked like he had one eye, but then I realized that is not an eye. That was a motorcycle helmet. And then you told me the story about the motorcycle, and I'm like, okay, is that who you are? Are you Tommy? Okay. And then I talked to him and I said, you realize that you've got to go on because your family is waiting for you and you cannot keep attached to her. Quit messing around. You're annoying me and you're annoying her and you're not doing any good. And you're not doing yourself or her any good. You have to explain to people because honestly, they don't understand death. Even after they're dead, they don't get it. A lot of them, they don't understand what's going on. So I took pity on this poor guy because obviously he didn't get what was going on. And I said, you cannot keep attached to her. First of all, you're hurting her because if you have an attachment like that, it's going to hurt you. It's not necessary, so it might not necessarily be karma. But now, see, can I say that you were being accused of things by some people? They were harassing you, saying that you were an energy drain. But if you have something attached to you, it will drain energy. And I said, I think this is the source of your energy drain, not you, what's attached to you. Because when they stay after a while, they can't do things, He was fiddling around doing things. Well, in order to do that, they have to drain energy from somewhere. So he was draining, okay? And I said, you can't keep doing that. I said, you better listen to me. You better go into the light. They'll help you there. Better go into this portal. I'm going to open up the portal to the other side. I've been there. It's not bad. They're not going to do anything bad to you. They're just going to help you get over what happened to you, and you're going to be better off. And if you come back, you'll be in a much better state of mind. You won't be draining people then. You Besides, don't you think that your family and friends that have gone on miss you? But it's got to be painful because, see, discarnate era, I shouldn't call them that, earthbound. Earthbounds are what they really are called. And earthbounds are spirits that haven't gone on. They're stuck. So they cause problems when they're stuck. They drain energy when they're stuck. People get sick around them when they're stuck. And then they also suffer because they relive their death. The events of their death, they keep reliving those at random intervals, I guess. And then they have no sense of time. They don't know how long they've been dead. Things like that. It is no fun to be an earthbound. So one of the things that I do is I cross over earthbounds all the time. I do it all the time. Sometimes in mass. I've done it right on the show. Sometimes in mass, sometimes one at a time. But I do that a lot because it helps the general condition of this world we're living in. Because having a lot of people not crossed over and draining energy is just a drain on everything. Plus, they're miserable too, reliving their death over and over. It's the only humane thing to do. I'm a shaman. That this is one of the things I've taken on myself, and a lot of us do. A lot of us who can do it, who are mediums and shaman, we do crossings over on a regular basis, and sometimes mass crossings over, to alleviate some of the misery in the world. It's absolutely necessary to do because people don't understand death. We're not really taught correctly about death. We're not taught what to expect, how to deal with it, and it leaves people not knowing what to do when they're dead, and sometimes not even knowing they're dead. So, for everybody's sake, we do the crossing overs. And so I told him, I told him that. I told him, look, this is what I do. I have people that have crossed over and then they've come back to visit. But it depends on, the situation. But you can't stay here. And I'm not going to let you stay attached to her. And if I have to, I will detach you if you don't leave. I will detach you and make you leave. And you won't be able to come back to her. So he finally crossed. He finally voluntarily crossed. We talked him into it.
And I felt a tingling all over my body when he left.
Mm-hmm. And she could feel it, of course, because he was hooked to her, draining her. And so that chi energy was finally moving around again and not being siphoned off. See, this is what I'm telling you. Spiritual attachments will mess you up, man. Okay? And
I woke up at 2 a.m. with a headache afterwards, so something changed.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's probably a lot of things going to be changing for you now. I mean, there's going to be adjustments. And we're going to have to look into what more is going on because you've been haunted all your life. It sounds like you've been having events all your life. And what we really need to do is probably look into it and see that there
I had
isn't
imaginary
something.
friends too.
Huh?
Imaginary friends I used to get made fun of. Or
Oh,
my
okay.
cousin that lived at the bottom of the hill, his best friend, her best friend, he just tortured me.
Okay.
Having imaginary friends and talking to them in front of them.
Hmm. So, yeah, you probably have some more things that need to be handled.
Then there was my mom in the jacket story. We'll tell that another time.
Yeah, that's another time because we're almost on
Yep.
2 hours here. We've got got a few
I
minutes.
think I had a premonition of my brother's. I think my mama was trying to warn me of my brother's passing, so we'll have to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's more I could go on and talk about, but I mean, if I didn't do good, that's okay.
No, you did great. My gosh, it was all the way through. We're like sitting here listening to the story, and it's just like the never-ending story of woo.
Well, there's 54 years of it if you think I've been haunted since birth.
It sounds like you've been haunted a good long
Oops,
time.
wait a minute, 55. I forgot to turn out another birthday in December.
Wow. So basically, there's more, and there's more. So
Oh,
yeah, we'll go into it another time because we've got a few minutes left in about 8 minutes. So
how about I say goodbye and go into chat and say hi, and then
so yeah, go into chat and say hi to everybody.
say goodnight.
Okay, well, thank you, Pam. That was very interesting. No, you did great. How about it, everybody? When she comes in, tell her how good she did. Huh?
I just wish my memory was better so I could give you better timestamps and better date.
That's okay. That's close enough. You know what? My memory can't even do that as well as you did. I can't give you years. Years don't even mean anything to me, hardly. I can generally not even remember what year. I don't even remember what year I got married.
I had a coffee pot at Fort Meade, but I just threw it in the trash and things worked out. But it was a nightmare until I realized.
The haunted coffee pot. Oh well, we'll talk about the haunted coffee pot.
It was controlling all the alarms and everything in the house. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, you definitely have more going on, and we need to check into you. You got a lot going on, girlfriend. You still have stuff going on.
I mean, that's why I don't want to deal with it. It's just so much. But anyway, I'm going to go into chat.
Yeah, go into chat. Go into chat, and we'll have our little last words here and our last discussion about it.
Well, alrighty, sweetie. Thank you for having me. I hope you have me again maybe
Thank you. You did a great job. Everybody thinks so, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks so. Thank you.
All right, honey. I'll talk to you in chat.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Wow. And it's kind of like my life. My life's been nonstop woo my whole life. And some of us, it's like that nonstop woo the whole doggone time. You know, it's like woo, more woo, and then some woo, and then a little side of woo on top of the woo, and then some woo with your woo. So, you know, and so it seems like pretty much every single aspect of her life has been affected. Pretty much like mine. She's hitting most of the major marks. I mean, we've got a story with ghosts, aliens, cryptids, and discarnate stalkers. I mean, you know, earthbound stalkers, haunted objects. You know, this is a movie. My life could be a movie too. This is a movie. This is like a movie, honestly. And I'm not laughing because there's anything wrong with this. I'm laughing because it's like my story. My story could be a movie too. It's like from beginning to end, my life has just got woo, one thing after another. And some of you have that too, so you know how that is. But yeah, I think you did a great job, Pam. As a matter of fact, Well, Lily Pond, play it back because, gosh, there was some stuff in there. Let me tell you, she's had some stuff happen. And you know what, Pam? Anybody who bullies you for this is a jerk. Okay? I'm sorry. Nobody should be bullying you for any and this will never be allowed on my channel. Okay, we will never allow this. It's hard to tell these stories. They're personal, you know. That's what I mean. They're personal. Right. So, well, oh, yeah, you were cooking? Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, it happens, you know. And, well, it feels good to get these things off your chest, doesn't it? To actually have somebody listen that understands what's going on with you and isn't trying to denigrate what you're saying or what you're doing or what you had, your experience. That's the value of this. And somebody hearing this might be sitting there going, gosh, that reminds me of something that happened to me. Happens to me all the time. I'll get a little flash of something and go, wait a minute. I was in a cornfield. I had something following me. I had this happen. I had that happen. And it was right around that same area. I've had stuff like that happen where I'm listening to somebody else's story and it reminds me of something that happened to me. And it goes, that might actually explain if that area is haunted, then that would probably explain why this happened, right? So, or if there was a lot of UFO activity, that would explain why. Or there was caves, gosh, caves, national forests, cemeteries. You had it all. But you're on the other side of that now. So good job telling us about it, though. That was very cohesive. And wow, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. And I'm so glad we have it recorded now so that people can refer to it and look back and maybe say, oh my gosh, is that what was happening? Is that really what was happening then? And that would maybe explain something for somebody. So, wow. Um, you guys, I think Pam did a smashing job. You guys can also, if you have any notion that you would like to tell your story, we'd love to hear it. It really helps people. It helps the person to get it off their chest. And it also helps other people understand that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones that this stuff happens to, because I think we've had too much isolation. Okay, we've been gaslighted too much. We've been um, suppressed too much. We need to talk about this stuff honestly and understand what's really happening here. I think it's absolutely necessary with the way things are going. We have a lot of things going on now that we're going to have to do a lot of adjustment. And I think we're going to have to just be honest with each other and start telling our stories so that we can understand how things really work in this life, which is obviously not the way we've been told. I mean, I am here because one of the things, like I said, I'm here doing the show. Part of it is to alleviate some of the misery in the world. Part of it is the truth has to come out. Part of it is I love being with you guys. You guys are great. And you're special because you have managed to wake yourself up even in the midst of all of this misinformation that was thrown at us all the time. So you're special in that regard. And um, so, anyway, I love you guys. Please get in touch. I can have you on as a guest. And um, hopefully, you'll have a better experience than Pam. But we did it anyway. We had bunches of um, issues, technical issues, but we did it anyway. So, and I'm glad we did. That was a heck of a story. Um, your migraine is now gone. Maybe you just needed to get it out. Maybe you just needed to get this story out. Put it to rest. We'll look into it later, Pam. And the rest of you, thank you so much for being here and listening and watching. And I so much appreciate your support. So please, won't you, if you like the show, please like it, and be sure to leave a comment when it comes back up. Leave a comment. It helps us get found. Tell people about us. If they have a story to tell, put them in touch with me because I am looking for guests. And if you have a story to tell, get in touch with me at oceandiana@gmail.com. Ocean like the sea and Diana like the goddess at gmail.com. And I will see about having you on, and we'll, one way or other, get your story up here. And maybe somebody will benefit from it, and maybe even you will, by finally clearing this. I mean, getting things off your chest sometimes, just being able to talk about it to somebody, it's worth a lot. And I'm glad that we could do that. I'm glad we could do this. I'm so happy for you, Pam. You're feeling better now. We'll do more work on it. And okay, remember, truth is where you find it. And I hope you find some of it here. You are divine. Please remember who you are and what you are. You have the spark in you of the divine. And therefore, you are divine. And you are creators. So create wisely with your thoughts and what you say. To the best of your ability, I would wish for you only good things. And if you have issues that you need addressed, like what Pam had, please get in touch with me. Like I said, sometimes people don't even know what it is that's really bothering them until we handle it. Usually spirits will make themselves known. I'll find out. If you got one hiding somewhere, they're not going to stay hidden forever when I show up. I find out. I'm going to find it. That's just part of the job. Okay? You got something going on. We'll figure it out. And I'm here to help. And I'm really glad to do that. So I'm really glad to be able to just cross things over now. It's actually gotten to the point where it's one of the main things that I do is portals opening and closing. Interesting, huh? And if you would have told me that when I was way back, I would have been like, "What the heck are you talking about?" Okay, so okay, tell people you love them. A lot of them are leaving. Some new ones are coming in though. So, um, we're going to have a lot of big changes. We'll be talking about that from time to time. I think we're going to see a lot of corrupt stuff go down this year. I think it's going to go down this year. I'm very excited about it, and we'll talk about it at some point. And if you have something you want to talk about for Wednesday, let me know. We'll get it on the schedule. Okay. 111. Yeah. Yep. 111 here. It's 1211. 1211. So Did you see what Tommy's last name was in his obituary? It was Harley. Oh my goodness. Right. Wow. Like I said, it's a much better story than you could make up, right? So anybody who gives you any trouble over it, just kick them in the shins and walk away. I don't mean literally. I don't mean it. Just ignore the heck out of them. You know, a lot of very famous people now have had plenty of people giving them grief over different things. Me, I'm not that famous, but I've still had it. You know, people thinking I'm some kind of a nut or trying to convince people that there's, it's like, I'm so sorry about your luck that you don't have the gifts that some of us have. And, you know, okay, you don't understand. A click, swipe left, whatever. Swipe left, swipe right, swipe. Okay, next. Don't let people, don't let people do that to you. Okay, good night. I'll see you next time. Oh, by the way, we're here Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday at 10 Eastern Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, see ya Wednesday.